And can we talk a little bit about, so they went from civil rights to silver rights was kind of the thing that they're trying to push. From your research, how successful was the Black capitalist movement post the riots, Martin Luther King assassination riots?
I would say that it was um, a systemic failure that allowed for individual success. And I think this is why it's sometimes a hard thing to talk about. Because for people who were able to get into franchising, people who were able to make a lot of money, this was a good business. This was a good deal. This was a good idea to try to really focus on Black capitalism as the next step in the civil rights struggle. But for every one person who became very wealthy or who could say this is success, there were thousands of people who were left behind. And I think that the fundamental problem is that these strategies, whether we call them empowerment, we call them investment, they actually don't lift people up in a massive way. They don't increase wages, they don't give better jobs, they don't, bring us towards free healthcare or free college or free childcare. They allow for some individuals to get very successful, and those same individuals can then say, see how easy it is, see how great it is. And so, I don't like to think about it necessarily as success or failure. I like to think about it as, did this moment teach us anything of value to set us up for critical and more thoughtful thinking in the future? And that I think is unfortunate too, because it didn't. Because right after the murder of George Floyd, we saw very similar things happening. And look where we are now in 2025. I mean, the retrenchment and the backlash has been swift. It has been initiated on the federal level, and more than anything else, it has made it impossible to try to make any kind of gains around equity, to even initiate that conversation, right? By essentially making it illegal. And so we have to be very careful about these strategies that overly rely on corporations and the marketplace to try to deliver justice.
No, that's a good point because you think about like people always talk about generational wealth, but that kind of creates a line of just like a lineage of your specific family, right? Because you have me, it's kind of like a me, my family, my this, my that. But when you think about kind of like what King was talking about, where he was like collective economics, that's more like liberational wealth, where it's like how can we collectively create an opportunity for more people to have, I guess, a larger demographic to win in these situations.
I think that we have to also redefine what generational wealth means. I think for many people, it means having lots of assets to pass on to future generations. And I think we need to think about it in terms of what skills, what talents, what stories, what life lessons, what values that we pass on to generations. Because not everyone will have millions of dollars in their estate upon their death. But what we will have is collective knowledge and collective experience that is also important to share and is also valuable.
If you enjoyed that clip, make sure you head over to www.bookupapp.com to download our app so you can connect with your favorite bookish content creators, start conversations, and start your own book club.